So we've lived this pattern time and time again. You set some goals, you say you'll like into them, and you get consistent for a little bit. Then before you know it, weeks, even months have gone by, and you haven't done anything towards that goal, and you're looking and wondering what the hell happened. I'm about to show you how to lock in and actually stay locked in for real this time. All you have to do is apply these 5 steps that I'm about to tell you, right? And apply every single one of them. If you skip one, you will fall back off. So first things first you need to do. 1, divide your goals. So you have your goals set for the year. If you don't, write down all of your goals for the year, right? You're gonna break them down to what you have to achieve 6 months from now. So set a midway point. You're gonna further break that down into a 3-month goal or a 3-month season. I would say you could either set it for 3 months or you can align it to the seasons of the year. So like by the end of the winter, by the end of the summer, etc., right? Then you're gonna take that and further break it down into what you have to achieve this month. So what you're doing is you're taking this big vision and breaking it down into smaller bite-sized chunks. And the deadline, now you have deadlines that are sooner. And because you have sooner deadlines, there's more of an inclination to keep what you're supposed to be doing in mind. Whereas if you only have your 6-month or year plan, a lot of days are gonna go by where you think, I got time. Even if you don't consciously think that, somewhere in your subconscious, you're gonna feel like you have time because the deadline is so far away. So this helps you not only set sooner deadlines, but it also helps you, it makes the overall goal not as daunting because you have smaller chunks, right? So it's easier to attack. Break down on your goals, right? The next thing you're gonna do, number 2, is build a system. Build a system that aligns with these goals. So when I say system, we're talking about your daily schedules, routines, things like that. So open a calendar. I prefer Google Calendar, or you can do this on paper, or both, preferably. And you're gonna design your ideal day for each type of day. So chances are maybe you have school days, you got work days, you got certain classes at certain times on some days, or whatever else other routine activity or that you have reoccurring throughout your week, right? For each of those days, you're gonna design an ideal schedule. What would be a 10 out of 10 perfect day aligned to your goals, right? So that's the key right there. You're gonna, based on your goals, you're gonna break those goals down into habits and figure out where you can stick these habits in throughout your week. So for example, you wanna build muscle, you wanna get in shape. Obviously, gym has to be in there. Is there a certain skill you wanna practice? Practice that. If you wanna improve or learn a language study. You wanna improve your communication and expose your brain to more vocabulary, reading and recording yourself, things like that. Figure out where you can include these things in the schedule, and also schedule time to eat and all of that other stuff. Account for everything. And when these days come by, you're essentially going to try to align yourself best to these days. Obviously, you won't always be 100%. This is more like a blueprint, and you're going to align yourself as best as possible to those days. But the importance of creating this system is when you don't have a plan, you leave these days up to however you feel in the moment. And that right there is exactly why you keep falling off your lock-in, by the way. When you build the system, the decision is already made for you ahead of time. And so all you have to do is stick to it, and you'll eventually make the progress. The third thing you need to do, speaking of progress, is track everything. Track all of your progress to all of the goals that you actually care about. Why? Your brain is going to forget about whatever you do not track, right? So you're trying to lose weight or build weight, track all of your calories. Every time you go to the gym, have some boxes, tick that off. Every time you meditate, tick a box off, write how long you meditated, and it adds up over time. So this will not only keep what you're pursuing in your mind, but every time you cross something out or log every bit of action that you did, you get a little bit of satisfaction. And that satisfaction makes you want to do it again. So overall, it becomes more motivating. It becomes a feedback loop of dopamine, right? This is one of the reasons why video games are so addicting. They make sure every time there's always a sound effect or some colorful shit that happens on the screen, or you can see a bar gradually getting higher, and it becomes, how much can you keep making this bar go up type of thing, right? So apply that to your life. Track everything, track every bit of progress, and this will also get a lot easier. The fourth thing you want to do is everything that I just said, keep it in the forefront of your mind. Make it as visible and accessible as possible. So the year goals, 6 month, 3 month, 1 month goals. Have it somewhere that's always exposed. So maybe you have a journal, leave that open on your desk. Maybe you write it on your walls. Maybe you also have it on your phone lock screen and home screen. Maybe you do all of the above. Preferably, that's what I think you should do. No, that's what you should do, preferably, if you want the maximum consistency that you can get out of this protocol, right? For the same reason as before, why is it keeps it in the forefront of it. Your brain is gonna forget if you don't. So what tends to happen, right? Let's just paint the picture of what happens when you don't do this, right? You might write your goals down somewhere, but it might be somewhere that's not necessarily always in your face. You might have it in the notes of your phone. I've done this plenty of times, right? And, you'll be consistent for a while, and then, slowly but surely, as I said, your days won't always go perfect. Something will come up, and something will kind of throw you off path. Just enough, just a little bit, that you don't notice it. And that happens long enough, and as time goes by, it's like the reason for you doing all of this, all of the working towards whatever you were working towards, it starts to fade. And when you forget that reason, you forget the will, the discipline kind of fades as well. And then before you know it, months have gone by, and you're like, what am I even doing? And then you'll fuck around and stumble across what you wrote and see, wow, this is what I was supposed to be doing. I promise you, if you haven't done this before, try it, and I guarantee you'll see a difference. The fifth thing you want to do is remove all distractions. This is one of the most important parts of every single part is important, but this right here, this is one of the biggest reasons you not only find it difficult to stay consistent, but you also find it difficult to even begin in the first place. So when I say distractions, I'm mostly, especially talking about these things that are highly stimulating for no effort cost. Why do you need to remove these? Because when you indulge in these things, you teach to your brain that dopamine or that pleasure does not require effort. And what this causes in the long run is effort starts to become even harder to do. So in other words, working towards your goals and logging in starts to become harder to do. Why would you add that extra friction? When you remove all of these distractions, you essentially make working towards your goals the most fun thing in your life altogether. And that right there is the key to really locking in and staying locked in for real this time, is make it fun. It should not cost willpower every single day. If you rely solely on willpower, you will fail. The same way, if you rely solely on motivation, you will fail too. These energy sources are not meant to be used one or the other. You alternate between the two. You use both. This one will maximize the motivation. All of the other ones, well, most of the other ones are discipline based. But altogether, do those 5 things and you should see a massive difference in how long you lock in and also how fun it feels. All right, go ahead, apply that.